Yeah, hi everyone. My name is Marium, and I work as a software quality engineer at Malmö. And I also work with as a mentor for QA process at Malmö, and also help out a team for process improvement, internal process improvement related to Scrum at Malmö. And this is my first time talking at the Lean track, so that's the reason I have this, because I couldn't find any better title for this. So, normally what I've seen and read in the Lean Tribe organization slides and everything, it's mostly discussing about the overall agile. And I don't have any experience working as a Scrum Master, development head, or a product owner. So I thought it might be interesting if someone comes from as a software developer from the Scrum team and talks about if the Scrum is applied to an organization, what benefits do that person actually see, or is it just a myth? So here I just wanted to share my experience working with one of the partners from Benga, which went Scrum after a lot of convincing to them, and what benefits we read out of that, and what was the before and after scenario. Okay. So, for the business people, the original plan, it's always so straightforward, but when we software developers look at the product roadmap and the plan, it is actually what that spiral wave shows. And it actually is like that. And why I said it is like that with the organization I was working with, just to give you a brief introduction with what company or organization we're working with. Mobanga deals with betting and gaming mobile application. It's a solution, provides solution for mobile betting and gaming industry. So we have various partners, and we are working close in collaboration with our partners to give out that application. So what we had was, if I could find, prior to Scrum, sorry about this, prior to going Scrum, only the Momenga side, the development team, had the Scrum, were doing Scrum. But everywhere else in the organization and in our partner side, different departments, they were using those fancy Gantt charts for them, where they had all the activities, and they said that this is how and when they would be delivered. And there was another department for operations and security, and they had all the fancy networking bubble charts and performance improvements planned throughout their timeline for certain events. And then there was the design department team, who always considered about cool ways of working, cool designs, and focused on cool features in the app. But the drawback which we had in this setup prior to doing Scrum was that although we could see that there was one product roadmap, but that product roadmap apparently was only for the development team. And the release was taken as the milestones achieved for that product roadmap. Whereas if you could see that all the departments which were taking inputs from the product roadmap, they actually had their individual roadmaps. And the overall product roadmap took less priority, and the individual roadmaps took more priority, because all the teams, different departments, were using different processes. The deliverables were at different times, and they were not synced with how to put out a feature or how to put out a functionality. And everything rested with the development team, that somehow they have to make that very straightforward looking plan happen and get the market window. But in reality, it didn't work that way. And finally, after 1 year of convincing and having multiple studies, the large organization tried to go Scrum. And this is what exactly today is a notation that how our Scrum team felt, that we are kind of new elephants in the circus trying to roll the ball and balance with all those given impediments. And the result of all that mess was that one of the favorite quotes from Mike Tyson, everyone has a plan, but when you get punched on the face, you realize how screwed up we were. And these were some of the issues when the departments, then all the departments and teams were not having Scrum as a process faced. Lack of interdependent transparency, the deliverables, they were not synced, and the development team was solely seen to be responsible for the product releases and the product roadmap, which I think in this previous slide you could see is not how it could have gone. I don't know how to use this, so sorry about that. We could never have made this possible with all the dependencies we have on different departments and teams when we don't know when they are going to deliver or what story they are working on. There was no sync whatsoever. So when the large organization went, our partner went Scrum, so here was the difference. Each department was having the Scrum process. They had their story swim lanes, and they had their own sprints. There was only one product roadmap, which each team was contributing to and was held responsible to. So in this scenario, it was much easier to see the dependencies. And once the organization went Scrum, and we had story backlogs, prioritized story backlogs for each team, it really helped to see, to put out the functionality or feature for a market window. And here, this was not able to be done prior to having Scrum. Because after having Scrum, when there were prioritized stories in the backlog for each team, and we wanted a feature out or a functionality out, it was easy for us to have this interdepartment story mapping, where we could clearly see if we want this functionality out, what departments or what stories from what team we want to have fulfilled in order to get that. So this is what went right. Product roadmap was prioritized over individual department roadmaps. Sprint goals aligned to achieve product roadmap milestones. And then you can read and discuss it after on the open space. But another key ingredient which I don't want to miss discussing is that we totally changed our Scrum team structure. This is the normal journal structure where we have all the software developers in the team. We have one Scrum Master and a PO, but it didn't quite work with our customer-provider relationship. So we had this team structure at Mabenga when working with our partners. Sorry. Wow. Where did that go? Anyways, I can discuss that. Like now the team structure, it is like we have one business analyst, two QA experts, and 5 software engineers in the team. The Scrum Master is from Mabenga, whereas the product owner and the business analyst is from the partner. The reason for having this structure was that to avoid the dependency of not being able to refine stories, not being able to have access to business for having better view on the stories, and it helped us have quicker cycles. Prior to this setup, we had a lot of stories which ended up being in the backlog, waiting for external input, waiting for external answer. And that external was normally what we wanted from our partners. But with this structure, when having the business analyst work with us, it was very quick to get the information, the communication going through. And also, we saw that the T structure was really being implemented in our team. The team had their own depth expertise with software developers and VAs and QAs, whereas it also grew in terms of knowledge sharing of different departments and also helping each department to remove the impediments and work closer to the customer. And also the client, the benefit we reaped out was the client had more transparency of our way of working, and they didn't just say that we come up and say no when there's a change request. There is always a reason why no, and then we work much more closely and much more transparently. So as a layman or software developer, I thought that it wasn't possible if that organization hadn't introduced Scrum in there as a process throughout their organization. We couldn't really make the synchronization and see what things we really need from different departments to make things happen. So this is one of my experience working with that. Yeah. Not a nice experience working with the high-tech thing. Sorry about that.